Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the eCapture Solution Showcase this week, featuring an overview of eCapture's 2014 version and release. The presentation is going to begin in just a moment or two to allow a few additional participants to connect and jump into our meeting. During our weekly showcases, we do suggest or encourage a few rules of engagement, I should say. We've placed everyone on mute, and we will ask any questions, topics of interest to be submitted through the chat panel that should be located in the lower right-hand corner of the WebEx system. Feel free to send any questions to me via the chat panel. And towards the end of our discussion, I'll go ahead and try to address those questions that have been submitted via the chat. So thank you again for participating in this week's feature focus, highlighting the new changes, additions to the 2014 version of iPro eCapture. So let's go ahead and begin our tour and discussion of the new features that have been found and added to the 2014 version of eCapture. Because today's highlight will be primarily an overview of those new adds and additions and changes to the tool, I'm going to be taking advantage of a few things a little different than my normal feature or showcase. I'm going to be jumping around a bit using another PowerPoint to highlight a few bullets, a few things, and then I'll jump into the application and walk through those same features once again. And we'll go ahead and open that up to a bit of a Q&A or a chat-driven Q&A discussion. So let's get started. eCapture 2014. eCapture 2014 has several new features, enhancements that have been included in this release. We have a bullet list here on my screen about a few things and areas that we'll be discussing today and going through today. Big changes include Lotus Notes, some OCR, additional administrative type controls for directory, allocations, PST, and some other fields and upgrades too, to include a few topics of interest today in our discussion. But starting with Lotus Notes, that's really where the biggest and largest change in this release has been encountered. Significant speed and distribution of Lotus Notes data has been found in this version of the tool. Data extract jobs in particular now provide a new setting to enhance and go even faster when processing our Lotus Notes data. We've changed a bit of the logic now to access DXL files directly and not NSF stores for the text, the meta, and MHT creation, which would allow fewer mail store copies. There is a slight quality reduction that I'll show and highlight in just a moment or two, and really the differences involve line breaking, some slight formatting differences, but overall an excellent representation of that Lotus Notes email. Now in just a moment or two, I'll highlight what the UI changes look like for those Lotus Notes controls. There are 3 options available to you, and I want to stress and note a failover capability where if we try one method, it would automatically fail over to another method, which would automatically fail over to a third method. If dealing and working with processing errors during Lotus Notes handling. And I'll highlight some of those features in just a moment. Bit of a screenshot is displayed now of those 3 options that I described. The high-speed method, which is the new and improved option for handling of Lotus Notes. Medium speed, which was truthfully the 2013 version or ESI method of handling, and low speed is our traditional older method of using and processing of Lotus Notes data using the UI of Lotus. Very slow, one at a time, however very rich in quality and output. We will be adding and enhancing additional Lotus Notes options and logic soon. But the 3 Lotus Notes processing settings I'll share with you in just a few moments. A slight sampling on my screen on the left and on the right, detailing some subtle changes. I mentioned some changes for the output and the quality. Truthfully, line breaks, some slight formatting. You may notice very, very minor differences between the 2 versions of the same file, both of which perfectly acceptable in my mind. However, there are some subtle differences between the 2. Now, the 3rd option would be using the stationary and the Lotus Notes object directly, which would look and feel more like a Lotus Notes with the various stationary objects included in the output. Another big change in this version of iPro eCapture 2014 involves some OCR now. And the fact that we are now, if we choose to index a document at the beginning, we are now sharing and using that same OCR again during a data extract type of job. Which one gives you consistency across the board from the searching side of things to the native file review or data extract side of things. But also speed. Huge improvement in speed as a result has been gained in doing this change. I'll be sharing with you a few options and where that's found now. We've made a UI adjustment to allow this OCR Common Option tab to be available to you. But shared OCR is another improvement and big change in this version and edition of eCapture. Giving you that speed boost and consistency check from the search results to the review results when performing native file review type of jobs and work. A little screenshot right now of that new UI change I hinted to and alluded to a moment ago, and I'll be opening up my system soon to share that with you. But right now we've added a Common Options tab to the project options screen and menu that would allow you to define and set up all the OCR needs that you have in one common place and location. It's now centralized. There used to be on each tab for OCR. Now there's one Common Options area for OCR handling. As a result of our OCR changes now that we're sharing OCR from an indexing event all the way through a data extract type of event for native review, we've added a new table now, an item OCR table for tracking and auditing and other purposes as well, linking, pathing. There is a new change on the back end as a result of this shared OCR option. Another change on the back end, to get into some of the back end sides of things, we have changed and enhanced our back end structure a bit. As a result, creating under a project a storage directory that would reference and re-reference those OCR files that are created once and used many. So a few changes on the SQL side, a few changes on the file system side, all to enhance the OCR output and sharing capabilities between those jobs. Another big change from an administrative standpoint includes directory control. We now give you the flexibility to move or change our working directory structure for a project. I'll be showing and sharing with you a screenshot as well as opening up the application too, but what this gives you is the ability for large environments to control where and what storage is being taxed and used at any project level. Maybe discovery jobs for this project on one storage solution, TIFF and processing job data on another storage solution, all the while we're working with data review data extract jobs perhaps in another path or storage. Great for taking advantage of that faster, larger storage requirement or organization. Let's just separate I/O perhaps if that's your requirement. But we now give you that job level system directory control. A little screenshot though that I'm sharing with you now is in fact where well, what it looks like, and I'll be showing that to you in a moment or two as well, but we've added to the eCapture project menu an advanced tab. I shared the common options tab a moment ago for things like time zone and OCR, but now the advanced tab can be defined for the pathing of TIFF data, data extract data, discovery data, if you need to, if you wish. It's a great way to separate if that's important to you. It's great for large deployments and infrastructures. Another great change that's been added to our system is now the ability to make working copies of PST stores as you go. To maintain the integrity of the original, prevent the variables from happening. What we're going to do is make a copy of this PST into a folder, a temporary folder, in the discovery job area of the system. Save copy is made to that PST so the workers can then jump on that and minimize the potential corruption by Microsoft Outlook or Mappy, or as my screenshot or PowerPoint slide indicates, network variables, hiccups in latency or read-write. It's great for speed, reliability, and the integrity of that original data. Little screenshot of where that's found, or what it looks like anyway, is here to make a mail store working copy. Let's check the box to enable or allow that feature to be there. And I'll be sharing with you the system itself on where to find and locate that information too. But working PST copies, another big change to the eCapture 2014 release. The iPro Enterprise service has been enhanced greatly as well to to really allow eCapture and its interfaces to assist in iPro Allegro OCR functionality. To offload the Allegro OCR here. If you have the enterprise OCR license, we can use and offload those OCR tasks using and taking advantage of the eCapture engine. Great improvement, great enhancement to the iPro Enterprise and especially Allegro, our early data, early case assessment solution. Another nice change, something I'm a big fan of, really deals with exporting or possible QC type of actions. We've added a new field in eCapture called doc category. Now, it's also been plugged in and added to Allegro, and what that does for you is identify the type of object that's been processed. Currently, and in existing versions of eCapture, we've had it for some time now, something called a doc type field that's mentioned here. But it was a very generic email, e-attach, e-doc type of designation that would be applied to those objects. Well, the doc category field enhances that. It identifies email objects, email attachments, eDocs, and eDoc attachments to further clarify, define those objects for searching and querying and more. A great example would be an email that has an email attachment. Well, the email object, the parent email, would be designated as an email. But that email attachment would be treated like an email attachment, flagged that way, and so on and so forth. eDocs, OLE embedded objects would be treated like eDoc attachments. Just another way to further clarify and define those objects that we're processing. Also, some government agencies and friends of ours are requiring that type of information, so it's now easier to accommodate that type of need and request. Great addition to the processing power of the tool. So besides a few features, changes there, Lotus, OCR sharing, directory controls, PSTs, and category fields, we've also enhanced and upgraded some of our third-party tools. DT Search, Stellan Outside In by Oracle has been updated. One, to maintain consistency across the products, but also some great enhancements have been added to those tools. So now we're able to work with those enhancements, those third-party technologies. I've gotten a bit faster, smarter, stronger, and as a result, so has iPro by updating those third-party components that we use. A few other pieces to mention include Lotus Notes once again. We've improved our discovery method dramatically. Pivot table handling for Excel. We've added some new enhancements to that type of handling and logic, sped up that dramatically when working with Excel pivot tables. Another big change really involves our enterprise tools and Eclipse specifically. The direct push, the direct add of direct to Eclipse data has been enhanced dramatically, taking advantage of all of our new features, logic, and performance enhancements. Specifically, rolling import volumes of data over and over time. Another big change, though, that many of our security-centric friends and customers will appreciate is new changes to allow UAC on the worker machines. Traditionally, UAC, that Windows or Microsoft component, well, we used to strongly encourage our customers to disable UAC completely, which would, of course, cause problems or friction with IT departments. We now have added our workers to allow that. That's a great improvement and option with this tool. And those are some big high-level bullets of those changes available in the 2014 version of iPro eCapture. What I'd like to do next is really open up my interface, my install of eCapture 2014, and just walk through those features once again. But this time pointing out where in the application they can be found, located, and expand upon a few of those topics and discussion points. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and share my eCapture controller system with you. Now that we're looking at my eCapture environment, let's talk and walk through a few of those features that I highlighted on that PowerPoint. I'm going to select the project that I have and just open up or take a look at those settings that we have available for that project. The project options that I'm looking at right now. Well, let's go down the list a little bit here and talk a little bit about Lotus Notes. Lotus Notes, those options that I highlighted earlier, can be found here in the Data Extract Options tab, specifically addressing the Lotus Notes speed setting that I would like to take advantage of for this work. Our new high-speed 2014 method, the 2013 method, or our old version, which would use the UI directly. It is a bit slower, but the quality is higher. So some choices for Lotus Notes processing with regards to speed, performance, and output are now found and available here under the Data Extract tab in eCapture 2014. Another setting, just to reiterate, is that OCR function, which can be found now under the Common Options tab here inside the eCapture project options screen. We've added this tab now. It's centralized in one easy-to-find location. It used to be in each tab, really, to deal with OCR for this, for that, for something else. Now common options are here to apply the OCR logic for all types. What are we doing for OCR? So great settings. And the ability to OCR a file once during an indexing or discovery event and use it again for data extract jobs, native file review type of work. Another big UI change that I highlighted there on my PowerPoint is found on the Advanced tab now. We've added an Advanced tab to allow the control and the ability to specify a directory for processing or TIFF jobs or native review or discovery. Let's spread the I/O out. Let's take advantage of this storage, that storage. We now have opened that up to you to specify project for project what pathing, what resources we're going to consume for your jobs. So great enhancement. for those directory structures to be specified now, rather than the default. Now, PST store copies, I hinted a bit about that earlier and shared that with you on the PowerPoint slide. That setting is located here under Discovery Options, Mail Stores, and this, to create a working copy of that Outlook PST or Mail Store file. Let's make that copy to our working directories so the original is not affected or impacted by our processing, and reduce the variables. What if Outlook or Mappy has a problem? What if there's some latency there or other variables with this copy of a mail store? Let's make a working copy of that mail store for us to discover, work with, and when the job is completed without error, we will delete that working copy. It will clean up and purge that working PST file when completed. But it is here to allow that functionality to happen. Yes, let's create that working mail store or PST version so the original Discovery PST is not impacted or affected in any way. So great handling, great options located and available now. Few UI changes along the way for the various jobs and handling that we provide you. Now, one other feature I'd like to highlight is that document category field that I talked a little bit about, where in the past we would identify e-docs, e-attachments, emails, very generic, very broad properties. It could be exported from our tool, could be used during a quality control type of phase. Well, the document category field does expand upon that greatly. And I'm going to go ahead and perhaps take advantage of my QC or quality control station. I hope you can see this okay on my screen. Well, what I'd like to do is just highlight a document category attribute here. I'm looking at an email right now. This one has focus. It is a doc category of email. Let's jump down to the next record. I have a doc category of email for this parent, but notice the attachment. There's a PowerPoint attached to this file. The document category is automatically flagged at email attachment value. And the same below. If I have an email, the email is treated as an email document category. Those attachment values are treated like email attachments. But what if that email has an email attached to it, like my example does here? Well, let's look at that email that's attached to an email, and it is properly identified as an email attachment. Another way to refine, to clarify, to identify those category of documents even better. So emails, email attachments, loose e-docs, and more. Identified and treated with even more granularity to meet and fulfill those requirements that you may have or you may be asked to provide. Again, can be found here in the QC module or at export time, if it helps you. Now, I'd like to open things up to a bit of a chat panel open question and answer type of session. My goal today was to highlight the new additions, changes to the 2014 platform of eCapture. I did use a few resources, my install of the tool, a PowerPoint slideshow or two. I'd like to hear of any questions that you may have. Feel free to submit anything at all through the chat panel located in the lower right-hand corner. And I'll try my best to address those questions as you think of them. I have a question coming in right now asking me about that PST copy method and option. And if I'm understanding the question properly, yes. The question was, are we going to delete or purge them at the end of the job? Yes, we are. Those working PST store copies, they are going to be removed and deleted upon a successful job completion. There's no need to manage or delete or purge and clean up those copies manually. The system will address that for you. I have a question coming in asking about the Lotus Notes processing. And if I'm understanding the question properly, yes, the answer is yes. The question involves the new methods of Lotus Notes handling, and if we can still go back to the old way, that you still have many customers that like the stationery and the icons and logos found within Lotus. Yes, absolutely, we can still image and process that data using our legacy method, which would absolutely fully support stationery and logos and the moons and the suns and the Flash Gordon letterhead that is very common inside a Lotus Notes email file and store. So for those customers that prefer the Lotus looking output, that is still achievable here without a problem. However, just know that that method of Lotus Notes processing, it will come with a price and a sacrifice of speed. That is a slower method of handling Lotus Notes. However, the quality is amazing, and those customers who need that sort of support can still achieve it here and get it with iPro. Just know that it does come with a sacrifice and a price of speed as a result. I have a new question coming in asking about updating, and if there are issues with jobs and migrating to a new version. Well, quick answer is, well, it depends on what version you're on. If you have 2013 right now, migrating to 2014 is not a problem. However, we would absolutely recommend all the jobs in your queue, those active jobs, that they be completed. You should never update iPro eCapture when there are active jobs in the queue itself. You would let those finish and complete all the way through, so there's nothing in your queue before running that update. Now, older versions, I should back up. If you are many versions behind, upgrading to 2014 may have a few steps to go through, depending on how far back you are. There could be some updates that would need to be applied before you would jump into a 2014. If you need those old projects, that old data to carry into the 2014 platform, there may be some steps that would be necessary. But don't hesitate to reach out to iPro, our support group, our solutions group. We're an amazing bunch here to help and assist in any way that we can. have a new question coming in asking about exporting and whether or not emails and attachments can be exported as one file or image file. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, I didn't talk much about exporting today. Not too many changes there from 2013 to 2014 have been added. However, what you're describing is currently available and was available in the 2013 platform of eCapture. If I'm understanding what you're saying, there is an option during the export to do a family type export. So those emails and attachments are exported as a single PDF. Now it is a PDF that will be created, but family level PDFing is available in this application, so those emails and all the attachments are as one PDF object. So family level PDFing, it is available now and was available in the 2013 platform also for eCapture if that's a requirement. And I now have a follow-up question to that, asking, well, saying thank you, great, but also asking about bookmarking and whether or not there are bookmark controls for PDF families. And my quick answer to that would be no. We don't in eCapture provide bookmark capabilities for those family-level PDFs today, but that is something that I'll write down and perhaps pass on to others as a consideration. We have other more paper scanning and centric tools that do the bookmarking. eCapture has not been enhanced to allow the bookmarking features that you're describing. I have another question coming in right now asking about near duplicate detection in eCapture and if that is available today. Quick answer is in eCapture, no. The analytics offering for iPro is not found in eCapture. That is currently available and inside Eclipse. The Eclipse review platform is where you'll find the iPro analytics today. Things like near deduplication, conceptual searching, document comparison. We also provide traditional categorization and clustering technologies. We've also added our own TAR component to the Eclipse platform. But right now it is not inside eCapture. Analytics would be performed outside of eCapture if that's a requirement. Alrighty. I don't see any additional questions coming in right now. If you have any last-minute questions, please shoot them over to me, and I'll be happy to address them to the best of my abilities. If not, I think that will conclude our tour and open discussion about eCapture's 2014 release and a few of the big changes and additions that have been added to our solution. Great. Thank you all for attending today. Please don't hesitate to attend these sessions. We have these events weekly. Feel free to jump in, attend as many times as you want, share. We're always looking for participants and feedback from our events. So thank you so much for attending today. And thank you.